My neighbour got the call at 7:12 a.m. She was at the hospital by 8:30, still wearing her gardening gloves, a travel mug of tea in her hand, asking the desk nurse which floor I was on. My mother got the call at 7:15 a.m. By noon, she still hadn't shown up. I didn't know any of this at the time. I was too busy trying to remember how to breathe without making that sound. The one that scared the nurses, low and involuntary, like something breaking. The accident happened at 6:40 a.m. on the Gardener, on my way into the office. I was always the first one in. Someone had to have the files ready before the 9 a.m. call with the Vancouver team. The transport truck that drifted into my lane didn't care about any of that. When I woke up, everything was white and too bright, and there was a sound like a slow heartbeat that turned out to be the IV monitor. A nurse with short hair and a calm face was checking something near my wrist. She looked up when she saw my eyes open. "You're at St. Mike's," she said. "You were in an accident on the highway. Do you know your name?" I did. "Barely. My name is Margot. I'm 31 years old, and I apparently have 2 fractured vertebrae, a herniated disc at L4, and a laceration above my left eyebrow that needed 8 stitches. I found this out in pieces, from different people, over the next 4 hours. What I didn't find out, not until much later, was that my neighbour, Val, had driven herself to the hospital, while my own mother was still deciding whether to come. My supervisor from the firm, Henry, arrived at 9:15. He came in looking rumpled and worried in a way I'd never seen from him across a boardroom table. He pulled a chair close to my bed and sat down without asking. "Don't try to explain anything," he said. "Just listen. You have 2 fractured vertebrae. They're going to do spinal surgery tomorrow morning. You'll be out of the office for 6 to 8 weeks minimum. I've already called your emergency contact." I reached toward the side table for my phone. He caught my hand. "Your mom said she'd come as soon as she could. She said they're dealing with something, but she wanted you to know she's thinking of you. Something." I knew what that something was. My brother Liam's gallery opening, the one in Ottawa, 4 hours away by car. The one I had paid $9,400 to underwrite, printing costs, framing, catering. The PR company Liam had insisted was non-negotiable. He'd been talking about this show for 2 years. Our parents had been talking about it for almost as long. I'd been writing checks for it for 8 months. "They're coming, right?" Henry asked, reading something in my face I hadn't meant to show. I wanted to tell him the truth, that my parents would probably not come, that they had been choosing Liam over me for so long that choosing his gallery opening over my spinal surgery was not a dramatic departure. It was just Tuesday. Instead, I said, "They'll be here." Henry stayed 2 hours. Val came in during the afternoon with a bag from the Loblaws near our building. Crackers, Gatorade, a crossword puzzle book. The kind of practical kindness that made my eyes sting. My work friend Preet stopped by after her shift. She brought a charger and a card signed by most of the team. My parents did not come. At 5:30 p.m, the neurosurgeon Dr. Osei came to explain the surgery. Spinal fusion, 3 to 5 hours, risks including nerve damage, infection, blood clots. She was direct and thorough, and she looked at me when she spoke, which I appreciated. "Is your family here?" she asked, gesturing toward the consent form. "This is a significant procedure. You shouldn't go through this conversation alone." "They're on their way," I said. I'd been telling myself the same thing. She looked at me for a long moment. "You're an adult and you can consent on your own." "But Margot, I'd encourage you to have someone here tonight." At 8 p.m, my phone rang. "Mom. Hi, sweetheart, how are you holding up?" "I have surgery tomorrow at 7 a.m, I said. My voice came out quieter than I expected. "I know," Henry told us. "Listen, we have a situation." That word, situation. I had heard it my entire life, always attached to something Liam needed. "The opening is tonight. You know how long Liam has been working toward this. There are curators here from 2 galleries, plus the woman from the Canada Council. This is his moment, Margot. We couldn't not be here for it." I waited. "We're in Ottawa right now, and with the drive back and the surgery being so early, we just don't think we can make it in time. But we'll leave first thing in the morning, right after the opening wraps up tonight. We'll be there by afternoon." I promise. It's spinal surgery, Mum. I know, sweetheart, but you're strong. You've always been the steady one, and the doctors are right there with you. Liam needs us to be present for this. You understand, don't you? I understood. I understood that I was in a hospital bed with 2 fractured vertebrae, and my parents were 4 hours away holding champagne glasses and watching my brother's paintings get admired by strangers I had paid to invite. What about after? I asked. Dr. Ozzy said I'll need someone at home for at least 2 weeks. Of course we'll help, once things settle down here. Maybe next week, we can come Wednesday or Thursday. Liam has a few follow-up meetings with the gallery people, but after that, next week, I said, you're going to be fine, Margot. You always land on your feet. She said it like it was a compliment, like it was something I'd chosen. Oh, and Liam wanted me to ask, the PR firm is sending an invoice for the final payment. Can you take care of that? He said it's about $2,200 and his account is a little tight right now from the framing costs. I hung up. I didn't say goodbye. I just pressed the red button and put the phone face down on the blanket. Val was still there. She'd been in the waiting room most of the day, and she came back in when visiting hours were extended. She saw my face and didn't ask what happened. The night nurse, a man named Theo who had apparently been doing this for 15 years, came in around 10 p.m. He adjusted my pillows, checked my vitals, and then just stayed for a minute. No family tonight, he asked. Not unkindly, Ottawa, I said. My brother has an art opening. Something shifted in his expression. Well, you've got us. I'm here until 7 a.m. and I'll walk you down to pre-op myself. The surgery took 4.5 hours. When I came out, I couldn't feel my right leg. The panic must have shown because Dr. Ossie was there immediately, calm and spinal block, she said. Temporary. Sensation should return within a few hours. Everything went well. Better than we projected. Henry was in the waiting room. So was Preet. Val had brought my neighbour from the other side of the hall, a retired high school teacher named August, who I'd maybe spoken to 6 times, but who had apparently felt that the situation called for showing up. My parents were not there. I checked my phone when I could move my arms again. A text from Mum sent at 8:17 a.m. Thinking of you this morning. Liam's opening was wonderful. So many people came. It was 3 p.m. Liam had posted 11 photos on Instagram from the opening. The gallery looked beautiful. Exposed brick, warm lighting, my brother standing in front of a large canvas in a new blazer, grinning. My parents were tagged in 8 of the posts. Mom in a silk blouse I hadn't seen before. Dad with his arm around the woman from the Canada Council. They'd had time to drive to Ottawa, buy new outfits, and work the room. They hadn't had time to come back for my surgery. Feeling returned to my right leg around 5 p.m. The pain came with it, even through the medication. Dr. Ossie was pleased. You'll be here about 5 days, she said. After discharge, you'll need someone with you at home for at least 2 weeks. No driving, no stairs if possible, very limited mobility. I'll figure it out, I said. Which was what I always said. That night, Theo came in around 2 a.m. when the pain woke me up. He sat with me for a while and talked about his daughter, who was at Dalhousie on a scholarship she'd earned entirely herself. She wanted to do it on her own, Zia said, sounding proud and slightly bemused by it. Said she'd rather take the loans than take money from me. I thought about what that felt like, to have someone offer help and be able to say no, not because help was never offered, but because you didn't need it. Day 2. My parents called at noon. Honey, how are you feeling? Like I had spinal surgery, I said. You're so tough. You've always been so tough. Mum's voice had that brightness in it that meant she wasn't really listening. Liam had breakfast with the Canada Councilwoman this morning, and she's talking about a residency. Can you imagine? We're staying 1 more night so we can be there for the meeting tomorrow. 1 more night, I said. It's such a critical moment for him. You understand. When are they letting you go home? 4 more days. Perfect, so we'll come Thursday, or Friday at the latest. We just want to make sure Liam has the support he needs for these meetings while everything is still fresh. I asked, very carefully, can I come home to one of your houses? To recover. Dr. Ossie said I can't do stairs and my apartment building's elevator is being serviced. Pause. Well, Liam might be coming to stay with us for a few days while he talks to the galleries, and we'd love to have you, but with both of you, it might be a bit much. Maybe you could ask Val, she seems very capable. My parents' house has 4 bedrooms. Liam has his own room there. Mine was turned into a home office 3 years ago. Day 3. Liam called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Some old reflex, some muscle memory of being the responsible one, the reliable one. Hey, so the Canada Council meeting went great, he said, without asking how I was. There's a residency possibility in Quebec City and I want to apply, but there's an application fee and they want a portfolio printed and bound by a professional service. It's about $800 all in. I know you're in the hospital, but it's kind of time sensitive and I could really use. I hung up. He called back. I turned my phone off. That night, Theo came in after his official shift ended. He sat down and said quietly, "There's something I want to show you. I'm technically not supposed to, but I think you need to see it." He turned his phone toward me. Security camera footage from the hallway outside my room. Timestamp. Tuesday, 1:14 a.m., the night of my surgery. A woman, maybe late 60s, stood just outside my door. She had grey-white hair cut short and she was holding a paper bag. She stood there for almost 4 minutes, perfectly still, reading the room number. Then she put the bag on the floor outside my door and walked away without coming in. She came back Wednesday night, Theo said. And last night, same thing. Stands there, leaves something, doesn't come in. She's been asking the desk how you're doing. Who is she? She won't give her name. She asks about you, leaves something, goes. Books, food. Someone at the desk said the chocolates were from that specialty shop on King Street. Whoever she is, she knows what you like. That stopped me. The dark chocolate sea salt bars on my bedside table. The novel with a sticky note marking chapter 1. The small jar of hand cream I'd mentioned to no one. I'd assumed they were from Preet or Val. Someone knew I liked dark chocolate. Someone knew I was a reader. Someone who was not my family. Day 4, the day my parents had promised to arrive. Mom texted at 11 a.m. Running a bit behind, traffic on the 401. Be there by dinner at 6 p.m. So sorry, Liam's meeting ran long. We're going to stay one more night. Tomorrow, for sure. At 9 p.m, Dad called. Your mom and I have been talking. Liam's in a delicate spot with these gallery conversations. We think we should stick around another day, just to make sure he has backup. I'm being discharged tomorrow, I said. Well, that's great news. See, you didn't even need us there. You're doing so well. I said, I can't walk to the bathroom without help. I can't drive. I can't do stairs. Who is going to take me home tomorrow? Can't Val do it? She seems like the type who wouldn't mind. She already took 2 days off work. Well, maybe Henry could arrange something, or you could call a service. Liam's future is really at a turning point here, Margot. You know how hard he's worked. With my money, I did not say. The $9,400 for the show, the $6,000 I'd given him last year when he said his studio rent was going to make him lose the space, the $3,500 loan the year before that, the smaller amounts, $800 here, sell $200 there, that I'd stop tracking because tracking them made me feel something I didn't want to feel. I hung up, turned my phone off, stared at the ceiling. Theo came in 20 minutes later, took one look at my face and said, She's in the waiting room right now. The woman from the footage. She asked if she could see you. I told her you were awake. My heart did something strange. She's here now? She comes every night, Margot. Every single one. Whoever she is, send her in. I tried to sit up straighter, pressed the button to raise the bed. My hair was a disaster and I'd been crying and I looked like exactly what I was. Someone whose family hadn't shown up. The door opened. The woman from the security footage stepped in. Up close, she looked softer than the camera had made her. Late 60s, maybe 70s, grey-white hair, reading glasses on a chain around her neck. She had a quality of stillness about her, the kind that comes from years of knowing when to speak and when not to. She stopped in the doorway like she wasn't sure she'd been invited far enough. Margot, she said. Hi, my name is Frances. I stared at her. I know I have no right to be here, she said. I know that. But when I heard about the accident, I couldn't watch from a distance. Not this time. Who are you? She came a few steps into the room. Her hands were clasped in front of her. I'm your grandmother's sister, your mother's aunt. You were 7 the last time I saw you. You probably don't remember. I searched for something. A face at a Christmas table, maybe. A voice. My mother doesn't talk about you, I said. No, she wouldn't. Frances sat down carefully in the chair beside my bed. We had a falling out when you were about 8. I said something your mother didn't want to hear, about how she and your father were treating you differently than they treated Liam, about how they were already starting to make you responsible for things that weren't yours to carry. She paused. She told me I was out of touch and to mind my own business. When I pushed, she cut me off, stopped bringing you to family events where I'd be, told the rest of the family I'd caused trouble. You've been following me. Not following. Watching. Making sure. She looked at her hands. I sent the RAESP contribution the year your parents said they didn't have enough to open one for you. They opened one for Liam that same year. I set up an anonymous top-up every year after. I paid the deposit on your first apartment. Your mother told you it was a first-time renter's grant from the province. There's no such grant. The room tilted. You paid. Why would you? Because I made a promise to your grandmother before she died. She was worried about you. She saw the same thing I saw, and she asked me to keep an eye on you, to make sure you had what you needed. Frances looked at me steadily. You always worked so hard, Margot. You gave everything and asked for nothing. You made yourself indispensable to everyone and invisible to yourself. I thought about reaching out so many times. But your mother made it very clear I wasn't welcome and I didn't want to cause you more conflict than you already had. But now you're in a hospital bed and your family is in Ottawa at an art show you paid for. And I thought, maybe enough is enough. I was crying before I'd decided to. The ugly kind, the kind that hurts when you've just had spinal surgery and it pulls at things that shouldn't be pulled. I paid for the whole show, I said, the printing and the catering and the PR, all of it, and they couldn't come. I know. Her voice was very quiet. I've been watching them spend you down for years. I thought this might be when you finally saw it clearly. I don't know what to do. You do. You hung up on your mother this morning. You turned off your phone. Those are the first steps. They'll be furious. Yes. And they'll survive it. The question is whether you will. Because, Margot, you've been running on empty for a long time. When did you last take a real day off? When did you last take a real day off? I couldn't remember. And the week before your accident, you were working until midnight covering for Liam's financial shortfalls. You can't keep doing this. She reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope, slid it onto the blanket beside my hand. I want you to come stay with me while you recover. I have a house in the beaches, single story, no stairs, lots of room. I've already set up the spare bedroom with what OC's instructions said you'd need. How do you know what Dr. OC said? Frances permitted herself a small, careful smile. Theo is my former student. I taught high school for 38 years. He called me when you came in. I stared at her, then I looked at the envelope. Open it, she said. Inside was a printout from a credit union, a savings account in my name. The balance was $203,000. I stopped breathing. Your grandmother left money. Some to me, some designated for you. Your mother handled the estate and told you there was nothing, said the debts ate everything. There were no debts. I've been holding your share, plus what I've added over the years. I was going to give it to you at a milestone, a wedding, a house. But I think you need it now. $203,000. More than everything I'd given Liam in 3 years. I can't. You can and you will. Because you're going to use it to stop bleeding money into a situation that will never change, and to build something that's actually yours. She looked at me very directly. Your grandmother wanted you to have a life, Margot. Not a function, a life. I cried for a long time. Frances held my hand and didn't say anything unnecessary. When I finally stopped, she said, "Get some rest. I'll be here in the morning." The next day, discharge day, my phone had 24 missed calls, 11 from Mom, 9 from Dad, 4 from Liam. I listened to one voicemail. Mom, voice tight with something that was calling itself concern. Margot, you have to call us back. We drove all the way back from Ottawa and you're not at your apartment. The super said someone came and took your things. Who is this Francis person? Call us immediately. I deleted it. Francis drove me to the beaches. The guest room had a medical bed, a walker, and a small stack of books on the nightstand, including the sequel to the novel I'd been reading in the hospital. That night, my mother called Francis's landline. I don't know how she got the number. Margot, thank God. What are you doing? Who is this woman? You don't even know her. She's Grand's sister, I said. She's been helping me for years, quietly, without asking for anything back. She had no right to go behind our backs. You told her I got a government grant for my apartment deposit, I said. There's no such grant. You took my share of Grand's estate. Silence. That money we were managing it for you. For when you were more settled. You were going to use it for Liam, I said. Weren't you? More silence. I need you to listen to me, I said. No more money. Not $2,200 for the PR invoice. Not $1,700 for Liam's residency application. Not whatever he asks for next month. I'm done. How dare you? After everything we've sacrificed for you, you were in Ottawa at an opening I funded when I was in surgery with 2 fractured vertebrae. That's what happened. That's what I'll remember when you talk about sacrifice. She hung up. I turned my phone off. The next 6 weeks were the hardest and the strangest of my life. Hard because recovery was exactly as brutal as Dr. Osi had prepared me for. Every morning was an argument between my body and gravity. Physiotherapy 3 times a week at a clinic Francis drove me to. Then home, then horizontal, then try again tomorrow. Strange, because I had nothing to do. No deliverables, no Liam asking for something, no parents to reassure. Just time, long, quiet stretches of it, which I genuinely didn't know how to use. Francis was not a hoverer. She made tea in the mornings and left it outside my door. She read in the evenings in the front room. She told me about her years in the classroom, and I told her, slowly, about growing up always slightly off balance, always aware that the centre of gravity in our family was somewhere else, wherever Liam was. You were a serious kid, she said one night, very watchful. Even at 7 you had that quality, like you were always preparing for something. I was, I said. I just didn't know what. You were preparing to keep them happy, she said. That's a lot of work for a 7-year-old. I started eating. Nothing planned. I just started keeping a journal, then it became something longer. Francis bought me a proper notebook and a good pen, and told me to write whatever was true. I wrote about what it felt like to sit in that hospital bed and watch Instagram stories of your brother's opening which you had paid for. I wrote about the particular loneliness of being the capable one. I wrote about a woman who shows up in a hospital doorway at 1 a.m. holding a paper bag. Liam called once 3 weeks into my recovery. Emma, come on. I know you're upset, but this residency is a real opportunity. If I miss the deadline. I hung up, blocked his number. Mom texted, you're hurting your brother. He's devastated. We didn't raise you to abandon family. I blocked her. Dad sent an email through my work address, which meant he'd somehow gotten it from the firm's website. Your mother is crying every day. Liam may lose his studio. Is this who you want to be? I blocked him there too. Then I called Henry and asked him to flag any emails from that address as spam. Consider it done, Henry said. How are you feeling? Better, I said, and then surprised by the truth of it, actually better. At week 7, Dr. Osi cleared me to return to work part-time. Francis drove me. Preet had decorated my desk with a small succulent and a card. Henry pulled me into his office and shut the door. You don't have to tell me anything, he said, but I want you to know. Your mother called the office twice while you were out. Once asking about your salary, once asking if we could confirm your new address. He paused. We told her we couldn't share that information. Thank you, Henry. You're not just an asset here, Margot. I want you to know that. Whatever's happening with your family, you're a person first. Don't let anyone make you forget that. I went to the bathroom and cried for about 8 minutes. Then I washed my face and went back to my desk. By week 12, I found a new apartment. Main floor of a Victorian semi in Leslieville, a 10-minute drive from Francis's place. Francis helped me move. She brought a fern and a cast iron pan and a framed photo of my grandmother at 30, laughing at something off camera. She would have liked to know you, Francis said. The adult version. She'd have been proud. That night in the new apartment, I opened a new document and kept writing. At week 18, Liam found my new number somehow. Probably through a cousin, and left a voicemail. I'm not asking for money, I just want to talk. Things haven't been going well with the residency and I miss my sister. Please call me back. I listened to it twice, then I deleted it. Then I sat with the guilt for a full day, the way Francis had told me to. Not running from it, just letting it be there until it got smaller. The guilt got smaller. At week 22, my mother showed up at my office building. She waited in the lobby. Security called up and I said, very calmly, that I wasn't available and asked them to let her know. She left a note at the front desk. When you're old and alone, you'll understand what family means. I pray for your heart every day. I showed it to Francis that evening. Francis read it, set it down, and said, do you want to know what I think, or do you want to sit with it first? Tell me. She's describing herself. That's what she's afraid of. Not you. Herself. I framed it eventually, hung it in my bathroom as a reminder of why I was doing this. 8 months after the accident, I got promoted. Senior analyst, then manager within the same year. The raise was enough that I started putting meaningful money toward an FHSA. The actual kind, the one you open yourself. Francis and I drove to Prince Edward County for a long weekend. We ate at a farm-to-table place and drank too much local wine and talked about my grandmother, who had apparently been a very funny woman, sharper than anyone expected. She'd have had a lot to say about all of this, Francis said. Would she have been angry at my mom? She'd have been sad, Francis said after a moment. She always hoped your mother would figure it out. But she knew she might not. I thought about that for a long time on the drive back. A year after the accident, I bought a condo, pre-construction, on the east end of the city, near the water. The down payment came from the account Francis had held for me. Standing in the sales office signing the paperwork, I thought, this is the first major thing I have ever bought for myself. Not for Liam, not to keep the peace. For me, I started writing for real. Not just journaling, an actual project, long form, the story I'd been circling. I joined a writing group that met on Tuesday evenings in a bookshop on Queen Street. The other members were a retired engineer, 2 grad students, and a woman who worked in municipal politics and wrote dark fiction as what she called emotional counterbalancing. I was still there, 6 weeks in, when one of the grad students said to me, "You write about family like someone who earned the right to." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just said thank you. Liam sent an email 2 years after the accident from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line was, "I'm sorry. I opened it once." He said he knew he'd taken advantage of me. He said he was in therapy. He said he wasn't asking for anything, just wanted me to know. I sat with it for a week. Then I wrote back, "I hope you're doing the work. I'm not ready to talk, and I don't know if I will be. Take care of yourself." I sent it before I could rethink it. He didn't reply. My mother got in touch through my aunt, my mother's younger sister, who I'd stayed loosely in contact with. A few weeks later, she'd seen Liam's email, apparently. She wanted to meet for coffee. I said no. My aunt relayed back, "She says she's changed. She says she misses you." I said, "I'm glad she's reflecting. I'm not able to be the person she reflects with." 2.5 years after the accident, my father called from a number I didn't have blocked. I answered without thinking. "Margot, it's Dad. Your mother has been diagnosed. Breast cancer. Stage 3. She wanted you to know." I felt many things at once. Sadness and grief and something else. A very old grief for the version of this where I could have just gone to be with her. "I'm sorry she's sick," I said. "I mean that. She wants to see you. I know. She's your mother. I know that too, Dad. Can you come? Just once. She's scared." I sat with it for 3 days. Frances didn't push. She made soup and sat with me in the evenings and let me think out loud. "What do you want to do?" she asked finally. "I want to be the kind of person who goes," I said. "I'm just not sure I can be that person with them. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Both of those things can be true." In the end, I sent flowers to the hospital where she was having treatment. Peonies, her favourite, with a card that said, "I'm thinking of you. I hope you get through this." That was all I had to give. She did get through it. I know because my aunt sent me a message 8 months later. "Your mum finished treatment." "She's okay." I wrote back, "I'm glad." Frances turned 72 last spring. I threw her a party in the backyard of my condo. Francis, Preet, Val, Theo and his wife, my writing group, the woman from municipal politics who makes everything funnier. We ate too much, drank good Ontario wine, and Francis made a speech that ended with, "The family you choose works harder for you, because they have to want to." Everyone laughed. I laughed, and then I looked around the table and thought, yes, exactly that. My condo closed last month. I have a key and a mortgage and a fern in the front window. Frances has a standing invitation to Sunday dinners, which she takes me up on most weeks. Preet comes sometimes. Theo came once with his daughter, who is now in her residency at a hospital in Halifax, and was exactly as quietly fierce as her father had made her sound. My writing is going somewhere real. An agent in Toronto asked to see the full manuscript. I don't know yet what happens next. What I do know is this. I spent years making myself indispensable to people who treated me like a resource. I paid for my brother's dreams and was left alone in a hospital bed while they cheered for him at the opening I'd funded. And the person who showed up every single night, standing in a hallway, leaving dark chocolate and novels outside my door, was someone I barely remembered. Someone who had made a promise to a woman I loved and kept it across 23 years. Frances chose me when my own parents couldn't be bothered to make the 4-hour drive. That's not a small thing, that's the whole thing. I'm not who I was before the accident. The version of me who would have Interact transferred $1,800 at midnight from a hospital bed to keep the peace. She's gone. I miss her sometimes, the way you miss a habit that was hurting you. But I don't want her back. I want what I have now. This apartment, this key, this manuscript, these people around a table, laughing at something Frances said. I want the Sunday dinners and the Tuesday writings group and the slow, ordinary accumulation of a life that belongs to me. It took a transport truck and 2 fractured vertebrae to get here. But I got here, and I'm not going back.